what has been the most valuable aspect of the program for me? There have been quite a few components that have been really great, particularly the mentorship that I've experienced throughout the program with Annette and with Jo, specifically with Jo, because she has such great industry knowledge and experience that's been pertinent to my experience and what I wanted to learn, but also because I've really benefited from the guidance, the advice and the encouragement of having a mentor and having a sounding board that I can sort of talk to and go back and forth with. That's been really important for me at this stage and for my confidence.
For me, it was first off meeting some other local producers who were in this kind of sphere of transitioning from whatever worlds they were in. That was really lovely for me to connect on a local level with like-minded individuals.
I feel like the whole program has been snippets or moments of conversations and little intensives that have picked up and gathered momentum as it's gone along.
Well, the goals I had when applying for the course have more than been met. So I had, I think, three main ones. The first one was just demystifying the whole process of producing and exploring the different roles of a producer.
Inspiring, definitely. Our mentors have been amazing. Both Annette and Jo in their vast range of experiences and ability to understand where we're at and how to push us to take that next step has been incredible. And the speakers that they've got in have all really deepened my knowledge of each area that they've spoken about and have pushed us to think about what our potential is and how we can engage artistically and administratively, I guess, for want of a better word, in that sphere.
Secondly, networking and just seeing who's out there, who is working in the industry and making contacts, meeting people. And thirdly, just seeing what really happens out there, I guess, and putting all this theory into a setting and seeing it in action.
The other really great thing I found about this program was the complete flexibility to self-direct our learning and our knowledge and what we wanted to get from the program. So I found it really great to be able to sort of look at myself and identify where I thought my skill gaps were and where I felt I was lacking in knowledge and perhaps underconfident, and be able to identify that, express that and then address it. So I feel myself like I'm in a much better position within my practice to be able to, I guess, work with others on a greater level and also looking toward mentoring other emerging artists in Tassie when the time comes.
Initially going through this program, I thought it was going to be more about producing my own work. Like I was sort of like, I don't actually think I have much interest in playing this role for other people. It's actually just to kind of get the skills so I can continue to develop further as an artist producing my own work. But I only just recently I've started to think that I've been aligned with some more younger emerging artists and playing a role for them, which has given me that position where I can actually see my skills being of benefit to fostering them and their work. And so that's been actually a bit of a breakthrough for me recently.
It was nice to be able to step out of my space of making art and think about it in terms of producing, which I already do anyway. It's so much a part of my role.
So we had the opportunity to do that, going to see shows. We went to the APACA conference. We were invited to go along to the Tas Performs Artist Residency in Tarraleah and work with independent artists putting together their shows and working with mentors as well. So producers who are actually doing it, very experienced mentors, and seeing it all put into practice.
It's also been really great to connect with Tasmanian artists on a more formal level under the guise of this role as being an emerging producer and emerging leader, so that both there's a reciprocal understanding and I guess acknowledgement between us that these may be our roles for the next few years, and that we can feel comfortable talking about each other's work, and also just having that identification as someone there, hopefully for Tasmanian artists, that could communicate to them, about their work and hopefully take their work further for them.
Now it's really coming into a place where it's sort of fleshing out, and I'm feeling a lot more supported and a lot more confident as we've kind of gone along, to the point where, I am actually starting to feel ready to be able to take on what I would consider more of a producing role, I suppose.
And lastly, the really valuable thing for me has been to actually travel to Sydney and to Melbourne, and also remotely via Skype, and talk to people who are producers in lots of different spheres all over Australia. That's given me a really good overview of the breadth of what this role or what that title actually means.
So tying it all together and seeing the theory put into practice has been invaluable.
Really important for me to feel, a bit more secure about my understanding of where, how the lay of the land at this sort of national level with theatre, and also to establish really important relationships with artistic directors and dramaturgs and people that are in similar stages in their career and even a bit further. I've had really good conversations about Tasmanian work with, that hopefully I can use those relationships with in the future, and I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to. So being able to come here and sit myself sort of in the middle of a really busy theatre network and put that in context with Tasmanian theatre has been really important for me, and I've learnt so much in such a short space of time.
We've been given the opportunity to have conversations with some really awesome people, just last week when we went to the Tarraleah Tas Performs residency, we went in the role of emergent producer as opposed to artists, and we've been there in that context as an artist before, but I was able to have conversations with some of the mentors there about what their perspective is on being a producer or being a creative producer.
Yeah, the project has been really comprehensive in terms of the skills, deepening my awareness of where I need to kind of top up skills in that sphere. Yeah.
Just last night we had Marianne give me her Excel 101 budgeting on Excel and the fluid language of Excel, and I've used Excel, but it was not to that degree, and so that's just one example of a simple tool. Also, the contracting session was really good. That was a couple of weeks ago. Each session has been it's either more of a conversation or it's a bit more kind of hard facts. And for me, I think it's been really nice to have a variety of those experiences.
I would love another year just to consolidate what we've done, because at the beginning of this year really we came to it with really raw sort of skills, and now we've got a bit of a toolbox.
So I think the project's had really a deep impact on how I think about the forward planning of the work I'm going to make.
As well. I think I would like to continue down the cabaret route and perhaps see where that takes me. I've just recently been to Melbourne as part of this program and saw some shows, met with some artists, explored some venues and chatted to the managers and things, and talked about box office splits and arrangements they come to with the various performers as well. Met a couple of very talented cabaret performers, and so I've got a few ideas tucked away that I look to explore in the future.
I felt really energised, and I now kind of think about, when I think about making work, I think about it from a producing standpoint as well. So what I can do as not just an artist but also as a producer to maybe make work that's portable and tourable, that could travel to nationally or internationally. Things like that are really on my mind.
Yeah, I can confidently approach people who I've been introduced to ask for support and assistance, and that's been something that's been really reassuring in the whole process. Is now I feel a lot more confident in going, hey, I want to do this.
The structure really quite good. I think we had some really specific sessions on a lot of really specific things like budgeting or programming and what a producer is, or cyber paddock, and they were really great. A bit piecemeal at the beginning, but they came together now.
But through my master's degree and through this program, I felt like I had enough knowledge to actually speak up and be a part of that conversation, where perhaps before I would have been sitting there thinking, oh, these people have 20 years more experience than me and I don't know much and I won't speak up. But I actually felt quite confident in doing so. So for me, that was, as I said, aha moment where I thought, wow, I'm actually really learning things that I can apply here.
I think what would have been beneficial for me was the lecture that Joe gave us on writing grant applications. That would be much beneficial for me now toward the end of the program, having, I guess, interned with a couple of different organisations, seeing them go through grant application processes, having written one myself now. I think maybe at the end it might have been, for me personally, made more sense.
But I've actually felt the most beneficial times have been when it's more intense, so when things are put together a bit more back to back. So I think, you know, if it was going to run again, having, you know, some time where you had, you know, a few days consecutive of some different workshop sort of times, I think that's quite useful.
For me, the tricky thing was being in Lonnie, so being Skyping into most of the sessions was difficult for me. So I would have liked more face-to-face contact.
I think I would probably relax. It's been a bit intense trying to sort of find out where my place is as a producer in Tasmania, but having sort of taken a bit of that pressure off and just enjoying it and connecting with a lot of artists is the key.
I think the whole experience will continue to unfold, you know, next year and the following few years, and the relationships that have developed from this, I think, will continue, you know, to be beneficial, and even just amongst the four emerging producers as well. Like, I think I think we'll be supporting each other through some processes in the future.
So I'm interested about maybe online producing, so producing ways of disseminating stories, gathering stories and disseminating them in different ways. So as a producer, thinking about connecting communities and getting art out there.
My plans are to continue to nurture all these relationships that I've made in the last sort of 9 months, of all the Tasmanian artists and other producers and leaders that have either taught us or I've met, to just kind of connect with them a bit more, also to foster the relationships I've established here in Sydney, to really nurture those and to really remind people that I'm here and that Tasmania is here, and just to find out a bit more about the way things work here, how work is seen, how people get work seen, how writers get scripts read. I've experienced a fair bit of that at the moment, so I think just attending a bit more to that.
I'm also really interested in looking at ways to tour work, not just my own work, but other people's work off this island, so connecting people over distance with my producing skills is something I'm really interested in looking at in the future.
I looked at producing my own shows, but it's really opened up a whole world of dance and music, experimental theatre and physical theatre. So it's really opened up a whole world for me that I perhaps wouldn't have gone to explore on my own.
I'm pretty keen to develop some plans for creative development opportunities between the two states, whether they be workshops or exchanges. I'm not quite sure yet.
Innovative, energetic, and really the mentors have just gone above and beyond and been incredibly generous with what they know and providing opportunities for us as well.
Artistic landscape, confidence, perspective, budget, Excel.
It's been very exciting for me to think about working in this sphere. I felt connected, engaged, challenged at times, definitely, and inspired to create more, think more, connect more, all of those things.
The term girl power came up a lot. The whole team of really successful and passionate, enthusiastic women, all four emerging artists were female. The mentors, all female, and it's been just a wonderful, supportive, nurturing environment. And they also understand having the balance with families and trying to balance that with work. Very generous and supportive women. It's been a wonderful experience.
So that's been excellent.